What would you do if you were rejected? Not once, not twice, but over and over again. What if every opportunity disappeared? What if every interview ended with the same answer? No. Would you continue? Would you still believe that one day your life could change? Because that's exactly what happened to Jack Ma. Before he became one of the richest entrepreneurs in the world, before he built Alibaba, before millions of people admired his success, he was a young man that almost nobody believed in. And perhaps that's why his story matters so much. Because the world doesn't remember Jack Ma because he was lucky. The world remembers him because he refused to quit. Imagine growing up in a country that was still recovering from poverty. Imagine watching people around you struggle every day. Imagine having dreams much bigger than your circumstances. That was Jack Ma's reality. He was born in Hangzhou, China in 1964. His family was not wealthy. They were ordinary people trying to survive in difficult times. There were no signs that this young boy would one day create one of the largest companies in history. No one looked at Jack Ma and thought, "That's a future billionaire." In fact, many people thought the opposite. As a child, Jack Ma was small. He wasn't physically strong. He wasn't considered exceptionally talented. He struggled in school. And perhaps worst of all, he struggled to fit in. Have you ever felt like everyone else was moving forward while you stayed behind? Jack Ma knew that feeling very well. He failed his school entrance exams. Not once, but multiple times. Imagine studying, trying your best, believing that this time will be different, and then seeing failure again. Most people would have stopped believing in themselves, but Jack Ma didn't. Because sometimes the people who experience the most rejection become the people who change the world. But Jack still had no money, no successful career, no business, no roadmap, only failures. And yet, he kept believing. Because he didn't know it yet, but every rejection was preparing him for the opportunity that would change his life forever. To be continued. Imagine being rejected so many times that people begin to expect your failure. Imagine hearing the word no so often that it becomes part of your identity. How long would you continue? How many failures could you survive? Jack Ma was about to find out. After countless rejections, Jack eventually found work as an English teacher. The salary was tiny, very tiny. He earned around $12 a month. Think about that. $12. Not 12,000, not 1,200, 12. Yet somehow Jack Ma was happy, because money wasn't what motivated him. He loved teaching, he loved people, and most importantly, he loved ideas. Have you ever met someone who isn't satisfied with simply living? Someone who feels like they were meant for something bigger? That was Jack Ma. Every day he taught English, but every night he dreamed. He dreamed about success. He dreamed about business. He dreamed about creating something that could change millions of lives. The problem was, he had absolutely no idea how to do it. And then something happened that changed everything. In 1995, Jack Ma traveled to the United States. For the first time in his life, he saw something that would completely transform his future. the internet. Today, we take the internet for granted, but imagine seeing it for the first time. Imagine realizing that the world was changing and nobody around you understood how big that change would become. Jack was fascinated, curious, excited. He sat in front of a computer and searched for something simple. Beer. American beer appeared. German beer appeared. Japanese beer appeared. But there was almost nothing from China. Nothing. At that moment, Jack Ma saw something that everyone else missed. Opportunity. Massive opportunity. He realized that if China barely existed on the internet, then someone would eventually build that bridge. And in that moment, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He would be that person. Now think about this. Jack Ma wasn't a programmer. He wasn't an engineer. He didn't know how to write code. He didn't even fully understand how the internet worked. What he had was something much more important: vision. Sometimes the people who change the future almost always look crazy in the present. Jack Ma kept going, not because he had evidence, not because he had money, not because he had guarantees. He kept going because he believed. And belief can be a dangerous thing, because belief forces you to continue when logic tells you to stop. Then, one day, in 1999, Jack Ma invited 17 friends to his apartment. The room was small. The furniture was simple. Nobody in that room was rich. Nobody in that room was famous. But inside that tiny apartment, history was about to begin. Jack stood in front of them and shared his vision. He wanted to create an online marketplace. He wanted to help small businesses sell products across the world. He wanted to build something that had never existed before. Now imagine listening to him, a former English teacher, a man rejected dozens of times, a man with no technology background, a man asking people to believe in an impossible dream. Would you have believed him? Most people wouldn't have, but those 17 people did, and together they created a company called Alibaba. They had no money, no powerful investors, no guarantees, only belief. And sometimes belief is the beginning of every empire. But Jack Ma had no idea that the greatest challenge of his life was still waiting, because very soon he would find himself fighting against some of the most powerful companies in the world. To be continued.
Imagine starting a company with almost no money, no experience, no technology background, and then discovering that some of the biggest companies in the world want to destroy you. Would you continue? Would you still believe that your small dream could survive? Because that's exactly what happened to Jack Ma. When Alibaba was founded in 1999, almost nobody believed it would succeed. Investors laughed, experts doubted, friends worried, and honestly, the numbers didn't look good. Alibaba wasn't making money. The internet industry was collapsing, and around the world, technology companies were going bankrupt. The timing couldn't have been worse. Imagine gathering your employees together, looking into their eyes, and realizing you don't know if you'll have enough money to pay them next year. What would you say? Jack Ma said something extraordinary. He told them, if we don't give up, we still have a chance. Think about that. Not a guarantee, not a promise, just a chance. But sometimes a chance is enough. As the months passed, Alibaba struggled to survive. Employees worked night and day. People slept in the office. They sacrificed comfort. They sacrificed security. They sacrificed certainty because they believed they were building something bigger than themselves. But then something unbelievable happened. A giant entered the battle. Its name was eBay. At the time, eBay was one of the biggest internet companies in the world. It had money, power, technology, global recognition. Alibaba had almost none of those things. Imagine being a small startup and discovering that one of the world's largest companies has decided to compete with you. Most people would surrender. Most people would sell. Most people would accept defeat. But Jack Ma wasn't most people. He gathered his team and said something they would never forget. eBay may be a shark in the ocean, but if we are crocodiles in the Yangtze River, we will win. What did he mean? He meant that understanding your customers is more important than having the biggest budget. He meant that courage can defeat fear, and he meant that local knowledge can defeat global power. It sounded impossible, but Jack Ma had spent his entire life doing impossible things. The battle began. Alibaba launched a new platform called Taobao. It was designed specifically for Chinese consumers. It was simple, it was free, and most importantly, it understood people. Meanwhile, eBay relied on its global success. They believed size guaranteed victory. History would prove them wrong. For years, the competition was brutal. Money disappeared, pressure increased, critics predicted Alibaba's collapse again and again and again. But Jack Ma refused to quit. Have you noticed something about the greatest success stories? The heroes almost always reach a moment where giving up seems logical, and yet they continue anyway. That was Jack Ma. While others focused on fear, he focused on possibility. While others saw obstacles, he saw opportunity. And eventually, something extraordinary happened. Alibaba started winning. Customers chose Taobao. Businesses joined. Growth exploded. The impossible dream was becoming reality. Then one day, the world realized something shocking. The former English teacher, the man rejected by dozens of employers, the man rejected by KFC, the man with no technical background, was defeating one of the biggest companies on earth. And that's when everything changed, because Jack Ma was no longer trying to survive. He was building an empire. But success creates new problems, new enemies, new pressure. And Jack Ma was about to discover that becoming successful can sometimes be even more dangerous than being a failure. To be continued.
Success changes everything. The way people see you, the way they treat you, the way they talk about you. But let me ask you something. Does success make life easier, or does it simply give you bigger problems? Because that's exactly what Jack Ma was about to discover. By the mid-2000s, Alibaba was no longer a struggling startup. It had become one of the fastest-growing internet companies in China. Millions of people were using its platforms. Investors were paying attention. The world was beginning to learn the name, Jack Ma. Imagine that moment. Just a few years earlier, you were being rejected by employers. Now people are calling you a visionary. How would you react? Would you become comfortable? Would you finally relax? Jack Ma didn't, because he knew something most people don't. Success is not a destination, it's a responsibility. And that's when one of the biggest opportunities of his life appeared. a global company called Yahoo wanted to invest in Alibaba. Think about that. The same world that once ignored Jack Ma was now asking to become part of his dream. In 2005, Yahoo invested $1 billion in Alibaba. $1 billion. For a man who once earned $12 a month as an English teacher, it must have felt unreal. But Jack Ma wasn't celebrating the money. He was thinking about the future, because he understood something important. Money doesn't create vision. Vision attracts money. And his vision was becoming larger every day. Alibaba expanded rapidly. New businesses appeared. New technologies emerged. Millions of entrepreneurs across China began using Alibaba to build their own dreams. Imagine owning a small business in a small town. Imagine suddenly having access to customers across an entire country. That's what Jack Ma created. He wasn't simply building a company, he was creating opportunities. And that's why people started believing in him, not because he was rich, but because he made others believe that they could become successful too. But then something happened that nobody expected. The world entered a financial crisis. Companies collapsed. Markets crashed. Fear spread everywhere. Businesses that once looked unstoppable suddenly looked vulnerable. Once again, Jack Ma faced uncertainty. Once again, he faced fear. And once again, people wondered if his success could survive. Have you noticed how life tests us the hardest when we believe we finally made it? Jack Ma noticed. But instead of becoming afraid, he made a decision. He decided to think long-term. He reminded his employees that every crisis creates opportunity. He reminded them that fear destroys more dreams than failure ever will. And slowly, Alibaba became stronger, bigger, more powerful. Then, on September 19th, 2014, something happened that changed business history forever. Alibaba went public on the New York Stock Exchange. The entire world was watching. Investors, journalists, entrepreneurs, dreamers, everyone. And when the trading began, history was made. Alibaba raised approximately $25 billion. At that time, it became the largest initial public offering in world history. Imagine that moment. The boy who failed his exams, the young man rejected by dozens of employers, the teacher earning $12 a month, the man rejected by KFC, now was one of the richest entrepreneurs on earth. What would you be thinking? Would you remember the failures? Would you remember the pain? Would you remember the people who doubted you? Jack Ma did, because he understood something extraordinary. Success doesn't erase your struggles, it gives them meaning. But while the world celebrated Jack Ma's incredible success, he was already asking himself another question. What happens after you've achieved everything you once dreamed of? And the answer to that question would become one of the most important lessons of his entire life.
Imagine achieving everything you once dreamed of, becoming one of the richest people in the world, building one of the largest companies in history, changing the lives of millions of people, and then asking yourself a simple question: what's next? Because that's exactly where Jack Ma found himself after Alibaba's historic public offering in 2014. The world saw Jack Ma as a billionaire, a business genius, a legend.
But Jack Ma saw something else: responsibility. Because deep inside, he still remembered who he used to be. The boy who failed exams, the young man rejected by dozens of companies, the teacher who earned $12 a month. He never forgot those moments, and perhaps that's why his success story feels so human. Let me ask you something. If you had everything you ever wanted, would you keep chasing more? Or would you start asking what truly matters? Jack Ma chose the second path. As Alibaba continued to grow into one of the world's largest technology companies, Jack began speaking about something more important than money: purpose, education, hope. He often told young people that failure was not something to fear. In fact, he believed failure was necessary. Imagine hearing that from one of the richest entrepreneurs in the world. Not avoid failure, not be perfect, but embrace failure. Because Jack Ma understood something that most people never realize. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the price of success. And perhaps nobody understood that lesson better than he did. Then something happened that surprised the world. In 2019, Jack Ma stepped down as the chairman of Alibaba. Think about that. He voluntarily walked away from the company he had spent 20 years building. Most people spend their lives trying to gain power. Jack Ma chose to let it go. Why? Because he believed that leadership is not about holding on forever. It's about building something that can survive without you. That decision shocked many people. Some questioned it, others didn't understand it. But Jack Ma had never built Alibaba just for himself. He built it because he believed ordinary people deserved extraordinary opportunities. And maybe that's the greatest lesson in his entire story. Success isn't about becoming rich. Success is about creating value for others. Today, millions of entrepreneurs around the world know the name Jack Ma, not because he was born talented, not because he was lucky, not because everything worked out perfectly. They remember him because he failed again and again and again, and he kept going. Imagine if Jack Ma had quit after failing his exams. Imagine if he had quit after being rejected by KFC. Imagine if he had quit after investors laughed at his ideas. There would be no Alibaba, no empire, no legend. And perhaps that's why his story matters so much. Because somewhere in the world right now, someone is being rejected. Someone is failing. Someone is wondering whether they should give up. If that's you, remember Jack Ma. Remember the young man who was rejected more times than he could count. Remember the teacher who earned $12 a month. Remember the entrepreneur who had no technology background. And remember what happened when he refused to quit. Maybe the world doesn't believe in your dream. Maybe you failed too many times. Maybe everyone around you thinks you're crazy. But remember this: every billionaire, every empire, every legend started from zero. And perhaps your greatest success story hasn't happened yet.
Have you ever wondered why some people become successful while others become legends? Because success changes your life, but a legacy changes the lives of others. And that's exactly what Jack Ma was thinking about. After stepping away from the leadership of Alibaba, many people expected him to disappear. After all, he had already achieved everything: money, success, fame, respect.
What else was there to accomplish? But Jack Ma had never been motivated by money alone. He was motivated by possibility. He often spoke about education, about young people, about the future, because he remembered something that the world often forgets. He remembered what it felt like to fail, to be rejected, to feel invisible. And perhaps that's why millions of people connected with his story. Not because he was perfect, but because he wasn't. Think about it. Jack Ma wasn't the smartest student. He wasn't the best employee. He wasn't the best programmer. He wasn't even trained in technology. And yet, he built one of the greatest business empires in modern history. How? Because he possessed something more powerful than talent. He possessed belief. Belief when there was no evidence. Belief when there was no money. Belief when everyone else had stopped believing. Have you ever had a dream so big that people laughed at you? Jack Ma did. Have you ever failed so many times that you began questioning yourself? Jack Ma did. Have you ever felt like the world was moving forward while you remained stuck? Jack Ma did. And that's why his story matters. Because his story isn't really about Alibaba. It isn't about billions of dollars. It isn't even about business. It's about something much deeper. It's about refusing to let failure decide your future. Imagine if Jack Ma had quit after failing his entrance exams. Imagine if he had quit after being rejected by KFC. Imagine if he had quit after investors laughed at his internet company. Imagine if he had listened to everyone who told him he wasn't good enough. The world would have lost one of the greatest entrepreneurial stories ever told. But Jack Ma understood something extraordinary. Rejection is not proof that you're incapable. Sometimes rejection is proof that your story isn't finished yet. Today, when people hear the name Jack Ma, they think of wealth, they think of Alibaba, they think of success. But perhaps they should think about something else: persistence. Because that's what built his empire. Not intelligence alone, not luck, not connections, persistence. The willingness to stand up one more time than you fall. And maybe that's the real reason why millions of people around the world continue to be inspired by him. Because deep down, we all want to believe something. We all want to believe that our failures don't define us, that our mistakes don't destroy us, that our dreams still matter. And Jack Ma's life proves that they do. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe you've failed. Maybe people don't believe in your vision. Maybe you're still waiting for your chance. If that's true, remember this. The man who built one of the largest companies in the world was once rejected by almost everyone. Every success story begins with doubt. Every empire begins with struggle. Every legend begins with failure. And every legend started from zero. Perhaps your story is just getting started.